The Book of Jubilees, the covenant renewed on Sinai. Friends, after our journey with the prophets Joel and Amos, where we explored the interconnectedness of repentance and justice, we now turn our attention to another powerful and ancient text, the Book of Jubilees. For those who are new to this book, it's an extraordinary work that retells the story of Genesis and Exodus, but with a unique and profound perspective. It's a journey back in time to the very beginning of the covenant relationship, and it holds a message that is both ancient and deeply relevant for us today. That is the reason why I'm covering it and using it as a cross-reference in our studies.
The Book of Jubilees begins with a retelling of the creation story that we know from Genesis, but it goes far beyond what most Bibles include. According to Jubilees, when God created the world, He didn't just bring life into being, He also set up the very structure of time itself, aligning it with His divine order. This is where the concept of sacred time comes in. Unlike the traditional calendar most of us follow, the Book of Jubilees introduces a precise solar calendar, overseen by heavenly angels, that governs the cosmic cycles of the universe. This isn't just about counting days. This is about living in perfect alignment with God's will. Jubilees claims that humanity was meant to follow this divine calendar, which consists of 364 days, divided into 4 seasons of exactly 91 days each. This structure ensures that sacred days like the Sabbath and festivals always fall on the correct date. It's a perfect system, but it's one that the rest of the world has forgotten.
The first chapter of the Book of Jubilees is not a story of creation or a dramatic event on its own. It is the frame for the entire book. It is the moment when Moses, on Mount Sinai, is commanded by God to write down this sacred history. The scene is majestic. Moses is on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, not only receiving the law, but also receiving this retelling of history directly from the angel of the presence, the vision of divine presence. This chapter opens with this powerful encounter, the angel of the presence, a being who stands before God, is sent to Moses to dictate the Book of Jubilees. This is not a human author's interpretation. It is a divine message. The act of God sending an angel to dictate the book to Moses underscores its heavenly origin and immense importance.
In the book of Genesis, the story begins with the creation of the earth, but Jubilees gives us an even bigger picture. Before the world was even formed, angels were created on the first day of creation. These angels play a crucial role in the governance of the universe, including the regulation of time and seasons. The Book of Jubilees reveals that these angels were assigned specific duties by God, with some overseeing natural phenomena, like the movements of the heavens, and others serving as messengers and guardians of God's laws. This idea of angels controlling the heavens is something we also see in other ancient texts. But the Book of Jubilees emphasizes how these angelic beings help maintain order in the universe, ensuring that the sun, moon, and stars follow their divine paths. For God ordained that the sun should keep its course according to the divisions of the seasons. Jubilees 2:9.
It tells us that what we are about to read is not just another story. It's a divine perspective on history, given to Moses at the same time as the 10 Commandments and the law.
These angels don't just watch over humanity, they control the very fabric of time. And when humans fall out of alignment with God's time, it leads to chaos, a theme that plays a central role throughout the Book of Jubilees.
The lament and the promise. Within this initial chapter, we found a profound lament. God speaks to Moses of the future rebellions and apostasy of the people of Israel. He foresees a time when they will forsake the covenant, turn to other gods, and be scattered among the nations. The divine sadness over this future betrayal is palpable. It's a moment of solemn prophecy, reminding us that God is not unaware of the struggles and failures of His people, both in ancient times and in our own. But this chapter does not end in despair. In the midst of the slayment, God makes a stunning promise. He promises that a day will come when the people will return to Him with their whole heart and their whole soul. He promises to heal their land, to gather them from their dispersion, and to make His presence dwell among them forever. He promises to create in them a new heart and a new spirit, one that is truly committed to the covenant. This promise echoes through the rest of the book, giving a sense of purpose and hope to all the stories that follow. The Law and Heavenly Tablets. Finally, this chapter establishes the authority of the law. It emphasizes that the law given on Sinai is not a temporary or changing set of rules, but an eternal decree written on the heavenly tablets. This concept elevates the law to a cosmic level, linking human obedience not just to earthly well-being, but to a divine, universal order. The Book of Jubilees, by rooting its narrative in this moment on Sinai, solidifies the importance of the covenant as the central theme of sacred history. So the first chapter of Jubilees is a powerful prologue. It sets the stage for a dramatic story of creation, covenant, and redemption. It reminds us of God's perfect knowledge, His righteous sorrow over our failures, and His unwavering promise to redeem and restore. It calls us to consider our own relationship to the covenant. Are we living in a way that honors the heavenly decrees? It invites us on a journey, not just to learn about the past, but to understand our place in a sacred history that's still unfolding, and to look forward to the day when God's promises of a new heart and a restored world will be fully realized. The Book of Jubilees, the creation and heavenly order. We've now set the stage with chapter 1 of the Book of Jubilees, understanding its divine origin on Mount Sinai. Now, as we turn to chapter 2, we are taken back to the very beginning, the story of creation. But this isn't just a retelling of Genesis 1, it's an expansion, a window into a different way of seeing the world, one deeply rooted in the concept of a precise and heavenly calendar.
One of the most controversial elements of the Book of Jubilees is its insistence that the world should follow a solar calendar, not the lunar calendar that many ancient cultures, including the Israelites, eventually adopted. According to Jubilees, the solar calendar is the only correct way to measure time because it aligns perfectly with God's divine order.
The 7 days and the heavenly tablets. Chapter 2 recounts the 7 days of creation, but it does so with a distinct emphasis on the calendar. For the author of the Jubilees, creation is not just a historical event, it is a cosmic blueprint for time itself. Each creative act is a step in establishing a divinely ordered calendar, one that is rooted in a 364-day year, perfectly divisible into weeks. This emphasis on a precise solar calendar is a central theme throughout the book, and it's introduced right here in the creation story. The author insists that this is the true calendar, the one written on the heavenly tablets, and the one that humanity must follow to remain in harmony with God's will.
The book explains that the solar year consists of 364 days, divided into 52 perfect weeks. Each season, spring, summer, fall, and winter, contains exactly 13 weeks, or 91 days. This system makes sure that the Sabbath and other sacred festivals are always observed on the correct days each year. This solar calendar is strikingly similar to the Ethiopian calendar, which is still used today by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. The Ethiopian year is divided into 13 months, 12 months of 30 days, with an additional month called Pagum, consisting of 5 or 6 days to make up the difference. Could it be that the Ethiopian calendar is one of the few modern systems that still reflect the sacred time described in Jubilees? In contrast, the lunar calendar, which was adopted by many cultures in the ancient world, including the Israelites, is seen as a corruption of this divine order. The lunar calendar is irregular, causing the months and festivals to shift over time, and Jubilees warns that this deviation from the solar calendar leads to spiritual disorder. There will be those who will surely make observations of the moon, but they will disturb the seasons and make an abominable day the day of testimony. Jubilees 6:37. For Jubilees, following the lunar calendar is not just a mistake. It's a form of disobedience to God's will. The book suggests that by returning to the solar calendar, humanity can realign itself with the divine rhythms set in motion at the creation of the world.
The creation of angels and the Sabbath. One of the most significant additions in this chapter is the creation of angels. The author of Jubilees tells us that on the first day, before he created the physical world, God created the spirits of his face and the spirits of the heavens. This detail highlights the existence of a spiritual heavenly realm that precedes and governs the physical world. It gives us a glimpse into a cosmic drama that extends beyond our earthly existence.
The Book of Jubilees reaffirms the traditional 6-day creation narrative found in Genesis, but it goes into more detail about the first Sabbath. According to Jubilees, God didn't just rest on the seventh day, he sanctified it as a divine institution, an eternal law that was given to both humans and angels. The Sabbath is seen as the foundation of time, a day that was set apart at the beginning of creation and meant to be observed forever. This idea of the Sabbath as a cosmic principle is critical in Jubilees. Not only does it govern the weekly cycle, but it also ties into the larger structure of time, including the Jubilee cycles of 49 years. These cycles are meant to bring the world back into harmony with God's order, offering a period of rest, release, and renewal for the land, the people, and even the angelic realm. For he sanctified the seventh day and blessed it for all times, as a sign of holiness for all his works. Jubilees 2:1. The emphasis on the Sabbath as an eternal law shows how Jubilees is not just retelling the Genesis story. It's revealing the hidden significance behind the cycles of time that govern all of creation.
The chapter culminates with the creation of the Sabbath on the seventh day. But here, the Sabbath is not just a day for human rest. It is an eternal cosmic law. The author proclaims that God himself and all of heaven observed the Sabbath from the very beginning. This reinforces the idea that the Sabbath is not man-made rituals, but a divine institution, a day of holy rest that connects humanity to the rhythm of heaven itself. It is a sign of the covenant, a sacred day to be observed forever.
The Book of Jubilees tells us that Adam was created on the sixth day, just as described in Genesis, but it adds a new layer to his story. According to Jubilees, after creating Adam, God gave him specific commandments right from the beginning, laws that included the observance of the Sabbath, purity laws, and the rules concerning marriage and worship. These laws, delivered by angels, were to be followed by Adam and his descendants as part of the covenant God made with humanity. While Genesis mentions God's direct interactions with Adam, Jubilees introduces angelic beings as mediators, particularly those known as the angels of the presence. Ensure that Adam and Eve understand the laws of holiness, sacrifice, and moral conduct. And on the 6th day of the 2nd week we brought, according to the word of God, to Adam all the beasts, and all the cattle, and all the birds, and everything that moves on the earth, and everything that moves in the water according to their kinds, and according to their kinds, the beasts on the 1st day, and the cattle on the 2nd day, and the birds on the 3rd day, and everything that moves on the earth on the 4th day, and whatever moves in the water on the 5th day. Jubilees 3:1-2. This angelic interaction was meant to reinforce the idea that God's law is not just a human invention, but part of the heavenly order.
The purpose of creation. Ultimately, chapter 2 is not just about the how of creation, but the why. It tells us that the creation was ordered for a purpose, to establish a world where humanity could live in harmony with God's perfect calendar and His divine laws. The Sabbath is the pinnacle of this created order, a moment for humanity to cease its labor and to enter into a rest that God Himself enjoys. It is the invitation to live in rhythm with the Creator, not just as a matter of obedience, but as a path to true worship and connection. Chapter 2 of the Book of Jubilees invites us to a deeper contemplation of creation. It lets us see the world not just as a physical space, but as a divinely ordered reality governed by a sacred calendar. It calls us to recognize the heavenly order that precedes and guides all of history, and it elevates the Sabbath from a weekly ritual to a cosmic act of worship that connects us to God and all of heaven.
The angels taught Adam that he must observe God's laws as an eternal covenant, just as they observe the same laws in the heavenly realm. Could it be that God's laws, passed down through angels, were given to humanity long before Moses received the 10 Commandments?
The Book of Jubilees chapter 3, the Garden, the Covenant, and the Curse. We have journeyed from the divine revelation on Sinai and the cosmic calendar of creation. Now in chapter 3 of the Book of Jubilees, we are brought into the Garden of Eden, where the story of Adam and Eve unfolds. While this is a familiar narrative, the Book of Jubilees adds new layers of meaning, focusing on a deeper understanding of the covenant, the law, and the consequences of disobedience. The Garden of Eden and the Sabbath. Chapter 3 begins with the creation of Adam and Eve on the 6th day. Immediately, the author draws our attention to their first full day, the Sabbath. This is a crucial detail. Adam and Eve's first experience of life is not of work, but of rest and communion with God. This reinforces the idea from chapter 2 that the Sabbath is a foundational and eternal institution, a holy day set apart for all of creation. It's a powerful statement that humanity's original design was for a life in rhythm with God's rest. The law of purity and the fall. The Book of Jubilees then narrates the fall, but with a unique emphasis. It tells us that Adam and Eve were not only commanded to abstain from the forbidden fruit, but they were also given a specific set of laws to govern their lives in the garden. The author highlights the importance of ritual purity and the observance of the law as a means of living in harmony with God. The disobedience of eating the fruit is therefore not just an act of rebellion, but a violation of a divinely ordained way of life. This reframes the fall as a cosmic act of law-breaking, with consequences that ripple throughout history. The covenant and the curse. The curse that follows the fall is also expanded upon. The Book of Jubilees connects the curse not only to the serpent and to humanity, but to the land itself and to the sun, moon, and stars. It is a cosmic curse that disrupts the perfect harmony of creation. But in the midst of this curse, the Book of Jubilees highlights the promise of a future covenant. It foresees the day when the curse will be reversed, when a perfect, everlasting covenant will be made, and when the original harmony will be restored. This promise gives the story of the fall a sense of hope and purpose, connecting it to the ultimate restoration of all things. Chapter 3 of the Book of Jubilees is more than a simple retelling of Genesis 3. It serves as a profound theological commentary, teaching us that the Sabbath is a foundational law, that the fall was an act of cosmic lawbreaking, and that the curse is not the final word. It reminds us that even in our most profound failures, God's promise of a restored covenant remains. It calls us to live a life of purity and obedience, not out of legalism, but out of a deep desire to live in harmony with our Creator, whose plan of redemption is still unfolding. Keep following us and studying with us as we delve into the prophets of Judah along with the Book of Jubilees. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like, follow, and hit your notification button. God bless you guys, and have a good day.
If these teachings bless you and you feel led to give, your support helps us share God's Word freely. Scan the QR code to partner with us in this ministry. Thank you, and God bless.